It is highly probable that the Brotherhood will attempt to remove technology from the crash site and store it at their technology center. Locate and secure the crash site, then capture the technology center. Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
Welcome back, Commander. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like our commando group from the last mission's gonna go anywhere.
Yes, sir. Unit ready.
Poor bastards.
Moving out.
New construction.
Infantry reporting. Moving out.
Construction complete. New construction.
So I'm not 100% sure as to the exact specifications because I haven't checked the triggers and map tools yet.
Sir.
However, doing the previous mission is stated as eliminating nod reinforcements to the area. I believe they're supposed to come through that same bridge, the trains, but I'm not 100% sure, so try not to quote me on that.
Yes, sir.
I should also mention, just because it was pointed out in the thread,
Moving out.
mainly because I misspoke, Tiberium of both blue and green variants do regenerate. It's just very slow in doing so. I think I was just having a brain fart and still rolling on red alert stuff with the gems. Now, with regards to field regrowths and all that, well, I'm sure we'll see a blue version in the future at some point.
Construction complete. Unit ready.
The main thing that should be the focus at the moment is the fact that we have a new unit. Technically, we saw them in the previous mission, but I didn't really leave any time to talk about them.
Waiting orders.
The new unit is probably my favorite unit. It's the GDI Titan. It is your main... It's not really a tank, but think of it as the punch for any sort of GDI forces. It has long range, a lot of firepower, although it is a little slow to get around anywhere.
Waiting order.
It can also be sometimes a little annoying having to wait for them to turn around, but thankfully they're not super slow on that point.
Infantry reporting. Sir. Yes, sir. Infantry reporting.
The Titans basically are like a very good middle ground between cost, power, and
Waiting orders.
just how well they perform.
Infantry reporting. Unit ready. Waiting order. Sir. Unit ready. Yes, sir. Unit ready. Medic! Sir. Waiting order. Unit reporting. Waiting orders.
So far, we've been tasked with recovering, well, destroying a Nod base, as well as recovering any artifacts we can find.
Construction complete. Low power.
The way that the map is built means that we're going to have a couple issues with actually getting over there. Oh, and try to ignore that sound. For whatever reason, because of the fact that I'm playing this on CNC Net's version,
Waiting orders.
the game just doesn't like me using the alt and then group number. It always gives that Microsoft ding. I guess I should kind of mention that. If you've been watching since the start, one, thank you, but you already know about control groups. You can create control groups out of every number on your keyboard, so 1 through 0. And if you ever want to go to your control group really quickly and center the camera on them, you just hit Alt and whatever control group number they are. Again, because of the version that I'm using, or at least I'm pretty sure it's the version I'm using, it just doesn't like that combination of buttons being pressed, and it plays that alert. I try to cut my use out in the future, but if you hear it, that's what it is. I should probably point out that
Sir?
this is another one of those examples as to why I really enjoyed my time with Tiberian Sun.
Funds.
The fact that these levels are so immersive. I try not to use that word just because it has a nebulous feel after you've been
Sir?
reading about Star Citizen for so many years.
Unit ready.
But
Yes, sir.
I don't know too many other games at this point in time that would have had this sort of layout. Seeing an actual city, among other things, is pretty cool. Not to mention that you can destroy everything.
Unit ready. Yes, sir. Waiting order.
Oh, and yeah, there's a couple self-insert buildings from time to time. Now, I treat this as rumor because I don't think I've ever had this happen, but I remember a long time ago, and this is probably just GameFAQs, like classic GameFAQs trolling me. I remember when I was a kid, I was looking up walkthroughs and guides and such, and I always remember distinctly that there was a mention that if you found a building named the Second National Bank, I think it's the only bank structure that can be named, or that is named, if you destroyed it, you would find money. Like, there was a guaranteed money crate in those. I don't think I've ever been able to prove that right. It is still fun, though, to check every building and just lay waste just in case. If it's not obvious, this is one of the main benefits of the Titan. The fact that they outrange the laser is pretty significant, all things considered. So far, we've seen it as the main defense for the Brotherhood of Nod, and that range implies that anything trying to attack us, say Nod buggies, attack bikes, and so on, will have to fight us at a similar range. Yeah, this is what happens when you try to wrap your head around the waypoints and you just keep mucking it up for some reason. The idea is that if you click on a waypoint after you've set it, you can move it, which is really nice because it means that you can fix problematic stuff like this. The issue that I have is that I can't seem to get my factories and barracks to automatically send units to those waypoints. I know it's possible. It should absolutely be possible. But I can't seem to get it to work.
Moving out. Yes, sir. Sir.
Unit ready.
And frankly, there's very few occasions so far where I've had the need to use waypoints.
Building. On hold.
Unit
Unit
reporting.
ready.
Moving out. Yes, sir.
Sadly, only having two Titans means that any sort of base redesign that we forcefully give the Nod forces will take a little bit of time.
Unit reporting. Unit ready. Awaiting orders.
Oh, and it's probably a good idea to tell your Titans what to do before they walk into fire for no reason.
Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Sir. Awaiting orders. Unit ready. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Unit lost.
Sir.
Sir. Infantry reporting.
Awaiting orders.
Insufficient funds.
Another thing I should point out is that while the Titan is actually amazing and will always be my favorite unit, they don't do too well versus soft targets, in the sense that infantry will just
You got it.
have fun with them if you let them.
Waiting orders. Unit sir. Yes, sir.
Your best bet is to always make sure to have some sort of anti-infantry force, whether that's with
Training.
Wolverines or Destroyers.
On hold.
Don't know how I put an R in there. But regardless, you want something that's able to take out infantry rather quickly.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders.
I know there's some people that were talking about balance issues and so on, but maybe I just didn't play enough multiplayer to ever truly get that.
Building.
Awaiting orders. You got it.
In a way, I always felt it was too easy for GDI, just because you had the Titan. And once you have like 50 of those in a row, sure, they're still vulnerable to infantry, so don't take it too lightly, but
Ready.
eh.
Unit ready.
It's like when you have 7 Titans that just absolutely murder a not buggy in half a second. It's pretty fun.
Sir. Sir.
Unit ready.
Infantry.
Oh, and yeah, the AI is pretty smart because, well,
Yes, sir.
maybe they're just specified to do that, but the fact that they do repair bridges is really neat.
Sir. Unit ready.
Another thing you need to worry about is the harvesters. After they come out of a war factory, they don't automatically go after a Tiberium field, which is kind of a mixed blessing.
Sir.
There are cases where you'd probably rather not have them go out immediately, but also just a little bit more micromanaging than you probably need.
Infantry reporting. Sir, looks like they tore this place apart already. Now it must be getting ready to ship the artifacts out. We don't have much time.
Unit
Construction
reporting.
complete.
I don't know what, like, there's rocket infantry shooting, or presumably anyways, could be attack bikes, I guess.
Insufficient.
I don't know where or at what, so
Construction complete.
that's one of those quote-unquote fun things you'll learn to appreciate with Tiberian Sun. Sometimes the AI just does a thing.
Sir.
Awaiting order.
Unit
Unit
reporting.
ready.
Orders.
Unit ready.
Sir. Sir. Orders. Got it.
Sir.
Sir.
Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Unit reporting.
Awaiting order.
Oh, I might not have actually mentioned it yet.
Reporting.
Unit ready.
The infantry in this game actually do retain, or to the best of my knowledge, retain that damage reduction if they go prone.
Awaiting orders.
Which is another thing that makes using them versus, say, a bunch of rocket infantry not really the best idea.
Sir.
Infantry reporting.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good as done. Infantry reporting. Sir.
Unit ready.
Infantry reporting.
Unit ready. You got it.
Infantry
ready.
reporting.
Unit reporting.
Now, something I read from one of the guides recently mentioned that
Waiting order.
Blue Tiberium is actually more dangerous.
Unit ready.
So you want to be careful when having infantry or anything vulnerable to Tiberium walk through it. I don't think it specifies an exact amount, and I'm sure I could find it in the rules document,
Awaiting orders.
but suffice to say that it does more damage, so just be careful.
Infantry reporting.
Oh, and that's another benefit of the Titan. It's the first unit, I guess second if you count the Harvester, but it's the first unit that the GDI has that can trample on enemy units.
Awaiting orders.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and I'm starting to think that this was what the rocket infantry were shooting at.
Waiting order. Infantry reporting.
I can't explain otherwise why there would be a hole in that wall.
Unit ready.
other than if it was pre-designed, which would just kind of be funny, I guess.
Building.
Awaiting orders.
Got it. Infantry reporting.
I think that was also my first loss to fire. Maybe the second.
Insufficient funds.
Loud and clear.
But it shows the danger of, you know, not protecting your units that way.
On my way. Unit ready.
Unit lost.
Unit reporting.
Unit
Unit
lost.
ready.
Infantry reporting.
Another thing that should be mentioned is that, well, we've seen that bridges aren't invulnerable.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And you
Unit lost.
always want to pay attention to bridges when you have Titans.
Yes,
On
sir.
point.
Because
Yes, sir. Sir.
I've already mentioned about how good they are and so on, but they will destroy a bridge really quickly.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders.
Infantry reporting.
Speaking of destroyed bridges, actually, it makes it really interesting that even though there is a bridge, and I believe it has a repair hut on each side,
Loud and clear.
the map design allows you to actually,
Unit ready.
you know, go around that requirement if you need it.
On my way. Unit reporting. Awaiting orders. Unit ready. Awaiting orders. Awaiting order.
Unit
Unit ready.
lost.
Another thing that's cool about the Tiberium silos and refineries is that the way that the game is built,
Building.
Awaiting orders. Unit ready.
the more Tiberium that actually accumulates in an area, like it's all additive. So you don't have to worry about, I guess, losing resources in an enemy base if you destroy their stuff.
Unit ready.
I don't know, it's a kind of weird concept
Reporting. Sir.
to think about anyway.
Ready. Building captured.
Sir. Sir. Yes, sir. No problem.
Unit ready.
No problem. Yes, sir. No.
Now, I'll probably cut out, or at least stop myself from
Affirmative.
Unit
like delaying the inevitable like this in future levels.
building.
And I say probably, I've already recorded almost this entire campaign.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
I'll make sure to actually show off stuff in the map videos rather than, you know, delaying the end.
Unit reporting.
But I kind of just wanted to point out that one, the train, I guess, if those laser turrets weren't there, could have survived.
Unit ready.
And more importantly, I absolutely love the fact that this game has tunnels like this.
Heavy fire.
Unit lost.
And they're legitimate tunnels.
Unit ready. Engineer. No problem. Yes, sir. No problem.
Building captured. Technology center captured. Objective complete.